Namaskar. Welcome to another 9 o'clock live. Okay. Today I've got a very interesting topic. I've got a very interesting guest. The topic is you guys wrote to me. You guys wrote to me asking me, कि भाई क्या है ये? One channel says BJP will win. Second channel says BJP will lose. Third channel says don't know. Maybe it will be a tough fight. Fourth channel says BJP may win, but Modi ji ka hai yaar, you don't know because he may not get the majority. So yeah, I mean you guys say what? Hey kya yaar? What is the real scene? Technically, I have always said elections nobody can predict. Astrologer predicts elections. Analysts, strategists, psephologists do not predict elections normally unless and until there is some other agenda. Other agenda है तो भाई सब लोग बोलता है कि भाई so many seats in this state and so many seats in this state. वो सब होता है. Normally, when you talk about elections, you don't predict elections. You have a direction. Okay, so I'm going to talk to a very senior journalist. I'm going to talk to a person who kind of speaks her heart out. She is paid quite heavily for speaking her heart out. So I'm going to introduce you to a very senior journalist and somebody who speaks a lot of sense when it comes to election and politics. I'm going to talk to Neelu Vyas. Let's get right into the show. Neelu, sorry, I had a small glitch with my system, I guess, and I'm not too good at this, so I seek your forgiveness. Okay, Neelu, firstly, a lot of people ask us, "Ke bhai kya hai yaar?" Somebody says this is like BJP jeetne wala hai, and somebody says Congress. What really is happening in out there in the election?
Thank you, Sujit. It's really wonderful to be on your program. So thanks a lot for inviting me. But your question that which way is this election looking like? I would really say that it's a very difficult election to predict. Though BJP would want the people to believe that it's coming back with a full majority, as what Prime Minister is claiming, 370, 400 plus. Godi media is also putting out that big headlines. Just now, there was an India TV opinion poll survey which says that apparently BJP is going past Mamta Banerjee in West Bengal. Also, all sorts of headlines are there. But the situation on the ground looks completely in contrast to the claims which are made by BJP. So I would not want to hazard a guess in terms of numbers, Sujit, because it's very difficult. The first phase hasn't even begun. We've not even seen a full throttle campaign beginning. But I would say that things are not going to be easy for BJP. They might form a government, but with what numbers, or will they get a comfortable majority? That's really something very early to predict, I think.
Very fair point, Neil. Fair point, because you see, I want to ask you on a very specific question, which always bothered me. You see, according to Pew Research, they say 85% of Indians want an authoritarian government. 85% of Indian wants an authoritarian government. Not that we are alone in this. A lot of countries are there, but we are like the maximum. A whole host of us wants an authoritarian government. Do you want an authoritarian government, Neelu?
If you ask me my individual opinion, of course, I would never want an authoritarian government. I would love to see a democratic India. I would want to see a country where you are not told, why are you eating mutton? Why are you eating fish? Why are you talking about Mughals? I don't want the children to grow up in a society like that. In fact, 10 years before, I think we were much more democratic. We didn't have to think twice before we spoke anything on camera. You've also been into journalism, and I've also been there. It's like my 24th year into journalism. And we never faced those kind of restrictions which we see now. I mean, you have to think twice before you utter a word on screen. कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि आपके खिलाफ defamation हो जाएगा. That's one thing which really bothers you as a journalist. Why should you use that word? Why should you not use that word? What if the MIB or the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Ministry, it sees you saying something and then they will get back at you? So that was really not the atmosphere in which we grew up, doing journalism. But now the last 10 years have been very, very difficult. And when you talk about democracy, when you talk about authoritarianism, we are seeing all strong indications of that authoritarianism coming back and staring at us in different forms. In matters of right to food, right to choice, the way you dress, the way you speak, what you speak, there's so many things. So I wouldn't say that, we are not democratic. We are democratic. That's why I'm able to speak to you right now. But, the very fear which lingers on in your head, that what if you say something and you might be put to jail? What if you say something, your laptop could be confiscated? So, that thing really worries. And we do not know how far it's really going to stretch out.
Nilu, one point I wanted to get to before we get into these aspects, because I want to cover these aspects in detail. And the point that I wanted to understand is, see, we all say that BJP has maxed out in most of the northern belt, Hindi-speaking belt. They're maxed out, 25 out of 28, 75 out of 80. So they're maxed out. Where would BJP hope to get their numbers from? And what is in their mind?
It's very difficult to gauge right now these tall claims which are made by Prime Minister, 400 plus 370 seats, because when I also look at the data where you just said that BJP has already maxed out, and now look at the states. I was just making a few notes for my programs in the evening, and I had that paper with me where I put those notes out. So southern part of India still remains a big discomfort for BJP. That's a given. No matter how hard they try, but I don't think they'll be able to make inroads, into the southern bastion. So South is completely ruled out. Now, if they have maxed out in their strongholds, which are like Gujarat, MP, Rajasthan, Delhi, Bihar, Karnataka, so will BJP be able to better its performance in these states? Highly unlikely. And if you look at the sentiments which are growing right now, just say, for example, in Western Uttar Pradesh, look what is happening over there. All the communities, whether it's the Jats, the Gurjars, the farmers, they're all up in arms. And what I'm told from the people on the ground there, in fact, I spoke to a few people who are BJP supporters. They are the cadres of BJP, and they're not stepping out of the house. If what they are telling us is true, and if the cadres of BJP have withdrawn, then that looks like a scary picture. And these are people from Western Uttar Pradesh. So I don't know really where BJP is looking for the numbers from. It's very, very difficult. And East, I don't know how much they'll be able to really, take mileage out of. Maybe West Bengal, I don't know, but it's too early again to predict whether they'll surpass Mamta Banerjee in West Bengal. So it's very, very difficult. If South remains a discomfort, the strongholds, especially the Hindi heartland where they have maxed out, if they are not able to better their performance, and looking at the sentiments of various communities which seem to be angered with BJP for very, very many reasons. Some reasons could be localized, some could be national, some could be unhappy with the fact that the tickets have not been distributed intelligently. So all those factors combined, I don't think that the going is going to be so easy for BJP this time. And I'm also, really thinking, from where will BJP really better its performance if it's talking about a number like 370?
They have not launched their manifesto. Why haven't they launched their own manifesto?
No,
BJP has not launched. No, I'm saying BJP has not launched their manifesto.
Because it's Modi ki guarantee, no?
Correct. It is Modi ki guarantee. It's not BJP ki guarantee. Correct. So why haven't? I mean, is there something called as BJP? Is there a unit still existing? Is there an organization still existing, or is it just one person that's leading the bunch, or
So
not even leading the bunch, that represents the bunch? Sorry.
absolutely. No, you've asked a very interesting question, that does BJP actually exist? Because Prime Minister, when he became the Prime Minister for the first time in 2014, from Achhe Din, now the entire slogan has reached to Modi ki guarantee. So the party, he came into the party, and now he's just like a one man who is ruling everyone in the BJP. And mind you, I'm in touch with a lot of BJP people. A lot of people within the BJP are very angry over the fact that they've been elbowed out by the upper echelons, and you know who they are. I mean, the two big bosses of the BJP, the Sahib and the Chanakya. So if they have been, if the party cadres have been elbowed out, if the ministers have been elbowed out, if the leaders don't have a say, so I don't think that's a very positive signal for BJP. And I think it's time for RSS also to sit up and look back as to what has really happened to the party to which they are an ideological mentor, and what has Modi done to the party. So it's time for introspection as far as BJP is concerned. But yes, you are right that the title of the manifesto is Modi ki guarantee. So it's not BJP ki guarantee. And if you followed the expressions and the body language of all the BJP leaders who were attending the manifesto launch that day, they were all sitting silently. So there is a certain, I would say, there's a weird silence within the BJP. There is a silence on the street. The voter is a little confused, and we'll come to those factors a little later. But this silence is not a very good indication for the BJP. The silence within the party of the leaders, of the cadres, who I was just telling you that they have withdrawn, and it's just not happening in UP. It's in Rajasthan also. Look at the Rajputs, the Gurjars. They're all very, very angry, the Kshatriyas. So this sudden silence which has crept in within the party and on the streets, what you see is not a good sign really for the BJP, Sujit.
My problem, okay, BJP ठीक है, चलो, they have their problem, that's their problem. I'm talking about our country, Neelu. You see, one leader and everything based on one leader, 140 crores of us, all of us, our future, our life, our food, our education, our health, based on one leader. I mean, where is this going to go? Where is this headed to? The Shingol thing, I still remember. Is this going to be the manifestation of Shingol from a constitution point of view, from an administration point of view?
Sujit, this is the biggest irony of the moment, I would say. In 2024, we are made to believe, and repeatedly, Prime Minister Narendra Modi keeps saying that India is a mother of democracy. Globally, yes, we are a mother of democracy. It's very good to say that we are a mother of democracy. But what are the kind of things which are happening on the domestic front? And the entire world is watching us at this point of time. So the Modi ji wants the entire world to believe that we are a mother of democracy, but the realistic situation is that it's a total antithesis of what he wants the world to believe. So it's all about one man. It's all about the choices of one man. If you say yes to everything, you're happy, or even if you're not happy, you should be quiet. So is that a democracy we are looking at? Is that the kind of country which people are ready to accept? I really, I mean, the so-called bhakts of BJP, they silently, like those sacrificial lambs, they're ready to sit quietly and listen to each and every word of Prime Minister Modi, what he says. It's fine to listen to your Prime Minister. I would also want to listen to my Prime Minister. But if at all he's not making sense, then I would like to question my Prime Minister as well. So why is that questioning not happening within the party? This used to happen when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister. There were people who used to question him. There was a certain democracy within the party. But what has gone wrong with the BJP? Because it's no more a BJP. It's all about Prime Minister Modi. It's all about what he wants. If he says it's day, it's day. If he says it's night, it's night. So the people have lost the power of questioning. And this unfortunately has happened to the citizens also. The citizens would believe, like, say, for example, if I talk about myself individually, within my family, people say, "Itna panga क्यों ले रहे हो सरकार से? इतना क्यों बोलने की जरूरत है सरकार के खिलाफ? Balance करके चलो." But what they don't understand is, how do you balance in a society which has already balanced? How do you balance within a political system which has lost the balance? It had a balance once upon a time. So in those times, it was very appropriate. It was okay to talk of balance, to talk of neutrality. But does that neutrality fit in times of what we are seeing right now? I really fail to get those answers. In when you meet people outside, you meet people within the family, you just badgered with this question: then why can't you balance? Why have you gone to that extreme? And I really fail to get those answers.
Neelu, then let me ask you this question. You see, all these years, from 1946, 1947 to 2014, we always spoke about secularism. We kept secularism above everything, and all of that happened. After 2014, things changed, and Hindutva came into to forefront. And today we feel that 22% of the people in India says that the best work that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done is consecrated the Ram Temple. So my question is basically, were we secular then, or were we lying then, or we were always communal and we lied all the 70 years of our independence? What is the truth about us, Neelu? What do you think we are? Are we secular or are we communal?
I think every individual will answer this question very differently. To me, of course, secularism is important. To be secular, to be democratic is important. I would want to adhere to the principles of what has been laid down in the Constitution. To believe in it honestly and to just say it for the heck of saying it, these are two different things. And what I feel is that currently, uh, without again, getting that flag that, why you keep criticizing the prime minister all the time. But the point is that how much of democracy matters to the prime minister? How much of the constitution really matters to him? I really don't know. And we have some glaring examples of that. Now, look at the interviews which Prime Minister Modi is giving. The first interview which he gave to Tanti TV, then yesterday we saw him giving an interview to ANI, and he is trying to defend the indefensible. Supreme Court has said that electoral bonds are unconstitutional. It's a violation of the right to information. It's a violation of the freedom of expression. But then also you have a prime minister who is wanting you to believe that electoral bonds is right for the political parties. It is right for the country. It brings in transparency, despite the fact that Supreme Court has completely dismissed it, saying that it's unconstitutional. So, if a prime minister is trying to defend the unconstitutionality of the electoral bond, what does one say? I really don't know. I don't know. So, you don't talk about constitution, you don't talk about the secular principles, but yes, he wants us to talk about Ram Temple, that this is one of the biggest achievements of BJP. Now, how many people would really believe that this is one of the biggest achievements of BJP in times when Lokniti and CSDS surveys clearly pointing out that, there's so much of rural distress, there's so much of economic distress on the ground. People are worried about their jobs, people are worried about the price rise, inflation. There are so many factors. But even then, Prime Minister wants us to believe that, look, this is one of the biggest achievements of BJP that they built a Ram Temple. Yes,
Correct.
one should be proud of, but to believe that that is the only achievement, I really fail to understand the logic behind it.
Correct. So, Neelu, actually, it is CSDS survey that has said that 22% of people believe that is one of the biggest achievement of Narendra Modi. Let's defocus. Let's focus on the opposition. You see, a lot of things that we have said, that we spoke, a lot of these things should have been something that a person on the ground speaks. You somewhere down the line, the opposition has not taken an electoral bonds to the ground. Why? Probably because the opposition was also involved in the electoral bonds. They have also taken money, except for possibly the Communist Party of India. Everybody has taken money and they've used it. The opposition was not in a position to take unemployment, which is growing substantially. It's growing at a pace which is unbelievable. IITians have no jobs. Nobody has been taking these stories on ground. Inflation, opposition has not taken it on ground. Neelu, do you believe in Tina, that Tina still exists?
Uh, Unfortunately, it does, Sujit. And but what you spoke about the opposition, what I feel, I've been witnessing this like for the last 3-4 years of whatever opposition I'm seeing at close length, while during my coverages on the ground. I feel that to blame always the opposition, we should question them, of course, and they have not done their job the way they should have. They did have the potential, they did have the issues on hand, but somehow, whether you call it a certain slackness from their end, which could be for very many reasons, lack of resources, their leadership tied down, or probably the migration of their leadership to parties like BJP. There are very many factors why they didn't work, but it's a fact that they haven't worked up to their full potential. That's a fact. But to always blame the opposition and say that they've not been able to take the message of the electoral bonds to the doorstep. Yes, in a way, you are right. They've not been able to carry the message of price rise. Yes, one could feel so. But why we are feeling so is because the mainstream media, the largest chunk of the mainstream media, is not bothered about these things. I mean, just look at those years when Manmohan Singh was the prime minister. I still remember we went to those rallies where Smriti Irani used to sit with those cylinders and we used to cover them. But how much of the mainstream at that time I was with CN and IBN, and we used to cover those rallies. We used to go out on the field, question the ruling dispensation. But how much of it is happening by the current media? So I think the media is also responsible, and in times when the democracy is almost on a precipice, we do not know how democratic we are going to remain. We have the fascist forces which have surrounded you from all sides. You do not have a voice because you do not know when you will be silenced. So these are not very ordinary times. These elections are being held in extraordinary circumstances, against the wind. Everything is against the wind in 2024. And in times like these, I think until unless every stakeholder of the society comes up, begins to fight with for that democracy, for that idea of democratic India, it'll be very difficult. And to only say that the opposition has not done enough, I mean, it's not that I'm taking sides of the opposition and saying it, but this is something which I firmly believe in. That right now, whether they are the journalists, whether it's a civil society, whether it's the citizens, the well-meaning citizens, and even they need to think actually what has gone wrong. So just to blame the opposition, yes, the opposition has almost been left toothless. Now look at what has happened with Arvind Kejriwal, Hemant Soren. They are behind the bars. Now, how do we expect Aam Aadmi Party to campaign aggressively when Arvind Kejriwal is not there? And heavens wouldn't have come down if he was questioned, or maybe he was even arrested maybe 3 months later. But the ruling party didn't want to wait for that moment. So, these are all the leashes which have been put all around, not only the opposition leaders, but all around the people, all sorts of leashes. These are economic leashes, these are social, these are political leashes. And when you have so many leashes around you, so how can you expect a person to breathe freely, to talk freely, to say things freely, and to have a democratic voice? It's already difficult. It's very, very difficult. So it's really an extraordinary election where things are just against the wind. And I really do not know. So everything is left to the citizens now. Opposition has done whatever it could. I mean, when the mainstream media is not covering opposition, I mean, what has Bharat Jodo Yatra done? I mean, Bharat Jodo, there could be questions on, how much the success rate of Bharat Jodo Yatra has been. But ultimately, it is seen as a yatra which has forced Rahul Gandhi to go to the people, share with him his thoughts, talk about what Congress wants and the idea of India. So, just to blame opposition parties would, I think, in my view, would not be very, very correct. But I guess it's time for all the stakeholders of the society to sit up and look at what is really happening and what kind of India they really want.
Neelu, a viewer of mine, Vijay Lakshmi M, has written to you saying that, like you, Neelu ji, keep it up, like your passion, and like your passion when you pursue a point. So here you are. You've got
Absolutely.
fans in HW News Network too. Okay. Now, I want to ask you a question. A very senior media executive, Neelu, went out to say that, listen, you know what, ye media should not play the role of opposition, Baba, because media is media, opposition is opposition. Why are you playing role of opposition? Do you agree to it?
See, it's right that media should not be taking sides. I agree with this assumption
No,
that
I guess it was not about sides that she spoke. Sorry to interrupt. I'm extremely sorry to interrupt. It's not about side. I think the executive spoke. That person was speaking about we should not be criticizing, or we should not be looking at the government. I guess that's what the person meant, is what I believe. So your views?
So criticizing the government, that's what you said, no? That
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so, because that's what the opposition does, right? And we were told that we should not be doing the opposition's job. So I guess that's what it could have meant. Do you agree to
but
it?
but this is exactly what people like you and me are doing. We are
Correct.
questioning. We are holding the mirror to the government. We are holding the power to account, which a journalist should do. But if the mainstream media has stopped doing its job, it has stopped executing its duties. So we also fall in the same line and say that, okay, we are not going to question the media. At least my conscience doesn't allow me to do that. And I'm sure, Sujit, your conscience also doesn't allow you to do that. So why should we fall in that category? And why should we even listen to that? Even I get to hear, all sorts of things, every day, on an everyday basis. Believe you me, that, why are you going to that extent? This is one general refrain where every day I get to hear that, why are you going to that extent? Just limit yourself. You can be balanced. You can be neutral. You know, I mean, I'm actually fed up of listening to this kind of a thing. I wouldn't say that it's a nonsense, but in times like these, I don't know how neutral you can be, how balanced you can be, when, as exactly what I told you earlier, when the environment has lost its balance, when the environment doesn't entertain neutrality at all, and then they expect you to be balanced. I just cannot understand this logic, Sujit.
Does this scare you, Neelu, at some point?
It does. I mean, I would be dishonest if I say that I don't get scared. Uh, I do get scared sometimes. My children are very young, and they keep asking, "What happens, Mama, if in the morning you get up and there is a police at the gate, and what if they take you to the jail?" So, are you prepared for that? That is the kind of questions my kids ask often. So, are you prepared for that kind of a scenario? Honestly speaking, I don't think of that. But if at all it happens, then we'll face it. I've already got a defamation notice. You are already facing the wrath of the government. So we're all facing it. So I guess it's a fight where we just have to swim together in the battle, joining hands with people like you, and we'll just wade ahead as much as we can, as long as we
And
can.
go from there. Yeah. Nilu, I have got 3 more minutes with you, and I know that you're a busy person. I know, and I should tell my audience that you've actually cancelled your show to be with us. I'm so grateful, Nilu. Thank you so much for this. I want to ask you, uh, what is the future that you see for India? Assuming that if things are the same, things continue, what is the future that you see for India?
Honestly speaking, if the things continue the way they are, the future is not very encouraging. I wouldn't go to the extent to say that, it's almost like the end of the tunnel, or I wouldn't say that. But the future is bleak. It's not encouraging. It's something where you can't look forward to much of things. As a journalist, you can't look forward to. As a citizen, you cannot look forward to. If this kind of a trend continues, because we do not know what kind of a life you will get to lead. Though Prime Minister Modi has in his interview said that, I'm going to do big things. I hope he does big things, but I hope he also lets the people live the way they want to, not eyeing on your plate, eyeing on what you're wearing, uh, eyeing on what you are speaking. I just hope things become good and better. Uh, but of course, yes, if the trend continues, the situation looks bleak. I don't know. I don't know what will happen to the opposition parties. Will they exist? Will they not exist? And if the opposition ceases to exist, so which means that people's voice is lost. And are we going to then call ourselves a democratic nation? That is something which really bothers me, Sujit.
Nilu, what bothers me is, do we want to call ourselves a democratic nation anymore? That's what all the research talks. That's what all the people says. Nilu, thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to me. It was such a enjoyable chat with you. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Sure, my pleasure, Sujit. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
You take care.
Thank you. You too.